Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now.
Folks just are not breathing, Olivia. They're suffocating in their own thoughts.
Yeah.
They're suffocating in this place called the unknown.
Yeah.
But what they need to understand is this is a place for exploration. This is a place for redefining who you are and capturing the essence of who you were and making that better.
But it's a lot to do with the mindset. Because, so many of us is actually have this mindset of you're a child, you grow up, you become an adult, you get a job. It's not everyone is into all the education stuff. And those who are into the education is that you get a good education and you get a better job. And those who don't get a good education, they just have to get a job to provide for themselves and stuff.
Right.
And we need to be able to get people out of that bubble.
Right. Absolutely.
For them to be able to rediscover themselves.
Well, I mean, a lot of folks don't know who they are from the get-go. But I want you to, look, before we get started, Brains, you at home, okay? We are on the edge with April Mahoney and Olivia Joseph. She's come into us from London to really kind of, talk to you. And she is a powerhouse, okay? She told me some things during our initial vetting and in the green room that I had no idea. This woman can perform magic. So you better get ready. You better get ready for this one. But we're talking about mindset, okay? And I want you to define that in your terms. What is a mindset? That's a big $25 word. People don't understand what that is, and they just tossing it around like, like loose change. Give us the definition of what mindset is.
Mindset is the way we think and perceive the things around us. We tend to see things, and some of us may look at a cup. Put it this way, we look at a cup, and all they see is just a mug and the handle, right? But when you change your mindset, when you actually look at the mug, you will see more than a mug. You will see all the opportunities that this one single mug, not just having a cup of tea, that you can do with it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So when we talk
and what can fill it, and also what can fill it? What are the opportunities? What can you pour into it?
Into it. Yes.
Well, a lot of people don't know, and they don't know how to shift, and they don't know how to pivot. So before we get into the nuts and bolts, tell my brains a little bit about you, how you show up in the world, and all the incredible things that you're doing.
I show up in the world as a powerhouse.
Yes, you
in a short word.
That's right. That's right. Claim it, queen. Because you doing it, claim it. That's right. I claim mine.
I walk down the corridors and they go, oh, there she comes. They can hear the footsteps. Boom, boom, boom.
I hang with elephants, to be strong, powerful animals. I get you.
Yeah. But my name is Olivia Joseph, and I am, as in America, you would say an attorney at law. But over here in the UK, we have solicitors and barristers. Solicitors are the ones that prepare your cases, and barristers go to court and present them before the judge.
I don't like that. Solicitor just kind of took it down a level. I don't like that.
Yeah. So that's how we have a differentiation.
Solicitors and bearers?
Barristers.
Barristers.
Yes.
Okay.
And the study is almost the same for the two professions because they intertwine with each other. The one couldn't do the job without the other. Because when cases need to go to court, you need a barrister. So that was my first study. And the reason I wanted to study law is I had a mother who was very much into politics and speaking, and I just enjoyed that. And I thought, what is the profession I'd love to get into where I could do the same and help people while I'm doing it? So law was my thing. I spent a number of years in it, got out of it, and through my godfather is why I actually came out of law for one reason. And I suffered a lot of taunting and bullying while I was in the profession. So when I came out of it, I went into property investing. And that was thanks to my godfather. He showed me the way of being able to make an income outside of law. And there is where I started with real estate. I learned everything there was to do with real estate and did the professional exams to be able to be a mortgage broker. From thence onwards, you had a family, you developed and moved on to setting up several different businesses. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an author, a professional speaker. I have a few businesses under my hat. Real estate is still one of the things that I still currently do. So I speak, I have a book, which is all on property.
Absolutely, I absolutely love it. I am not, I put a lot of my books and gifts that I get as a promotional item, but that's not one of them. That one I will keep close to my heart. So you've done a lot of things. You have a full deck of cards, but you also have the Ace of Spades. And you also are the Queen of Hearts because you do a lot of philanthropic work.
Yes.
In the world. And in the world, not just there in the UK, because we've talked about some options. Go back a little bit and tell my brains about you being one of 9 children and the story that you share with me about your grandmother.
There are 9 of us. There are 3 girls and 6 boys. We grew up in South America. My father was in the army and my mother was into politics, and we were a very close-knit family. And one of the things which in modern language, they say you're a hustler, is that we learned how to always have a sidekick or a side hustle.
That's right. That's right.
We have,
wait. We got to slow down because we have to explain that to our other brains that do not speak Ebonics. Hustle is not a bad word. We're not trying to cheat. It is urban term for multiple streams of revenue. Okay, yes. Y'all get that? Hustle.
Yes.
And I'm a hustler, baby. I got you.
Yes. So one of the things that we always had was a kitchen garden. Now, when you're in the Caribbean, your garden isn't a small garden. It's a large garden. And we had the chickens, we had the garden, and my father, he was the one, it's something called pigeon peas. I think Jamaicans call it gongo peas. And the entire premises had these trees planted on both sides. And you can have the green pigeon peas and make a stew with it. You can use the dry peas and cook a cook-up rice with it. And the pods, the green pods, they will soak the green pods with sugar and spices, etc. And from that, they make a wine. And that wine is a powerful thing. Because just a few sips of it, it'll knock you off your feet.
Okay, and so that's what we call in the United States some hooch.
Ah. Yeah.
So your grandmother used to make that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And things also to have a lot of medicinal purposes. It's not just for getting loaded, but it really cleanses the blood. And you know, it sets you off into a different place.
Yeah.
So your grandmother used to do that, and your father started with the garden, and so all of you children worked in the garden. And did you?
We all had to help and support. There was nothing as when we were growing up, there was nothing as their boys' duties and specific girls' duties. We all had to learn to do everything because our parents' motto was, when the girls get married and hypothetically something happens to your husband, you must not have the need to go outside and have to find someone to come into the home to do certain things. If a light bulb needs changing, you must know how to change a light bulb.
Right.
If a nail needs pulling out of the wall, you must know what a hammer is to pull that nail out of the wall. So a lot of the basic things that needed to be taught to young women, we were taught these things. So Dad used to say, yes, you must learn to be able to handle yourself.
That's right. And it's called sustainability and longevity.
Yeah.
You know, my husband was in the military for 20 years. And I cannot tell you how many times I had to contact him for money. It was hardly ever, because I made it happen. If the car broke, I knew how to get it fixed, and I had the money to get it fixed. Yes. I talked to so many women when I worked at the utility company that didn't even know how to write a check. Mm-hmm. They didn't know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. And women, it's not about being complacent to your man or being submissive to your man. It's about self-survival, because folks change their mind all the time. Yeah. And so you need to know how to do that, and you need to know how to take care of your kids. But you do more than that. You take care of the world. Tell me about some of the work that you're doing around the world with your charitable organization.
At the moment, we currently have a charity, which I'm not going to go into too much about it, but we have a charity which at the moment will be providing affordable housing for persons who cannot afford to live in a house. Many developing countries or underprivileged countries, you have where people are living in squalor, poor sanitary conditions. And that touched me when I travel. I travel an awful lot to the Caribbean, Africa and stuff, and it touched me. And to be able to do that, we decided to pull out the stops and form this charity. And we can do this with the support from the local and the local governments of the various countries. It will not cost an arm and a leg to be able to do these homes. And we can provide 10, 20 homes within 3 months.
See,
it's a technology that we use to be able to put these homes down, and we can make them so affordable that it will make any philanthropist or any investor look at the project and come a second time and say, yes, I'll invest in this, because it is the people that we're out there to help, not just with housing, but also we're looking at solar energy to be able to give them electricity so they can live a better standard of life.
Right.
Because these are people.
We're talking about these solar runs the pumps for the clean water, the electricity, air conditioner. I mean, Brains, I don't know how many of you have traveled around the world. I'm hoping a lot of you have. But it's sad that only about 40% of Americans even have a passport. So they're ignorant to what's going on in the rest of the world. And these countries are doing what's called load sharing. Yeah. And I had experienced that a little bit with the fires here in California. It's called rolling blackouts. And so that's where they take down the power. They did it more to protect against the fire and fire hazards here. But there are countries where people are living with that. They get electricity for 3 days. Then they don't get it again for 4 or 5 days. No refrigeration, no sanitation, no keeping their medicine. What if they have to go to the hospital? This is so important. And I'm so glad that we're talking about solar, because I'm a big fan of that. And wind generation, wind turbines.
But you just mentioned hospitals. Think about how many countries have got hospitals that does not even have electricity. Right. You talk about rolling electricity. I'm talking about areas and regions where the hospitals themselves have got no electricity. And then to transport people who are really ill to another hospital, sometimes the distance is so long that sometimes the consultants make that decision. It's not worth it us transferring this person because they might die before they get there. You know, and all of this, we can change this.
We can change it. And,
yes.
And we can make an impact.
Yes.
And you know what? And you're the perfect person to work with because you understand the law. Yeah. You are, you know, deep in your culture and you understand what's going on. You understand sustainability and you're into real estate.
Yeah.
How could you not win, Brains? So tell me.
And we're now working with another organization on a farming ecosystem. So, you know, it's a lot of stuff that I'm into, you know, but all the pieces, they intertwined with each other, each and every single one of these projects.
Yeah, and you're scattered around, you're really trying to bring something whole together. So now you decide to take all of your wisdom and your knowledge and your skills and start coaching. Just another thing to add to your list.
I already coach. I do business and microsystems coaching.
Right. Okay. So tell me, what is that?
Okay. With business coaching, I have a range of women between the age of 35 to 65. And with these women, I coach them on starting, growing, or scaling a business. So if we look at if they have an idea, many of them may have an idea and they don't know how to get going. So we look at the idea they have, and then we craft the business plan, the model. We then craft for them a cash flow projection of the financial investment at various levels of the business, because we also look at financially what we call it the skin. They have to have some skin in the game. So what do they have? What finances do they have available to them, or who they can leverage to be able to get the funding if they themselves don't have it? And so then we can kickstart them. But if they're already in business, we support them with the areas that they struggle with.
Well, that's huge because, you know, there's women out here that are afraid to invest. And Brains, what I want you to understand is that, baby, it takes money to make money.
Yes.
Okay. And you can't just sit on your cash and think that it's going to work for you. You've got to teach money how to work for you. Okay.
That's the best thing to do with money. Because I always say, even this evening, I had a conversation with someone who wants me to coach them. And this person is a serious business man, not lady. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about money. We were talking about my book. And it was like, you know, you're the ideal person to help me to sort a few things out. Right. So we start looking at, how do you make money work for you instead of taking that money and leaving it in the bank? And I drew some simple examples, as in, I can take £50,000 and put it in the bank. It may attract 1.6, 1.8% interest per annum. I said to the same person, I says, you give me that 50,000 and I will give you back 6% per annum on your 50,000 plus your £50,000 back. And the person was like, how do you do that? And then I was like,
I wrote it down for you.
You know, you take that money, you invest it. I call it a fixer-upper. You buy a fixer-upper, you fix it up. It will bring you a greater return on that investment. You cannot lose. Right? There's certain things, like I always say to people, don't take your money and spend it on designer clothing and designer handbags. Take the money and invest it in gold. But when you invest the money in gold, do not go and look for a 9-carat gold chain. Exactly. Look for an 18-carat gold something, whether it's a ring, a bracelet. You know, I said, one, it will last for an eternity. You can hand it down to your children. Gold and diamonds, I said, and land. If you have $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, buy a plot of land, buy the freehold title to that land. Even if you cannot afford to build on it, you do not have the money to build or even the credit to get the money from the bank to build. You buy that plot of land today for $1,000 or £1,000, sit on it for 5 years. Do you know how many people will come begging you for that plot of land that you paid $1,000 for? 5 years later, you can command 20, 25,000 for the same plot of land.
Absolutely. And you're leaving a legacy. You know, I remember Oprah Winfrey saying one time why she invested in so much property. She's like, because you're not going to get no more land.
No.
And currency is going to be inflated or deflated based upon other contributing factors, how many other people are involved in it, what the economy looks like, you know, so money is a perceived value. But when you have property, that is a tangible asset. When you have gold and silver, that is a tangible asset. You know, I was going over my portfolio. It's the fourth quarter. And so I be tightening it up these last 3 months, seeing what's happening. And I was looking at it and I was very, very proud of myself that I am extremely diversified, that I am financially literate. Well, I learned financial literacy from my father. And, you know, I'm speaking to the Black people right now, okay? Y'all are not teaching your kids that. They're homeschooled. And so what you need to do is have them read the newspaper. Oh, yes, there's a thing called a newspaper.
Yes.
And that was one of my favorite things was reading Newsweek when I was a child. Teaching them financial literacy, understanding what world currencies are, understanding what the Dow Jones Industrial is, understanding this trickery that's going on with these inflated numbers and with trillions of dollars that are being printed and there's nothing holding them back. You know, understanding what risk versus liability versus assets, understanding key terms. You know, that's 1 week's course and reward them for their effort.
Yes.
So we really need to go back to the basics.
Yes.
Because people have lost sight of that. And that's what's going on right now. The world is pivoting, is shifting, is changing, you know, and we're worried about the coronavirus. But what happens when we get through this virus? There's still going to be a lot of people that don't have jobs.
Of course.
There's still going to be people that are going to be fearful. There's going to be a lot of women that have left their corporate jobs to stay home to be a homeschool, a home parent. What kind of encouragement, what would you say to those individuals that are struggling with some of those things, Olivia?
I would say to them, start readjusting what you were doing. Start re-educating yourself. Start looking at what qualities, skills that you have as a person. The corporate jobs were being lost long before COVID. COVID has just made it that bit worse, right? Now, with people losing all these jobs, you also start looking at people's mental health, because with the lockdown and having to be at home, many working people are not used to being at home with children constantly demanding something to eat, something to drink, demanding attention. So you're not used to it and you have to readjust yourself. And what we have to start doing is looking for activities, looking to retrain ourselves so that our mental state can improve. And when your mental state improves, then a lot of the activities and the retraining you need to do to be able to contribute not just for your family, but for the wider community and to be of service, you will be in a better position of doing that, because that is what is important. That's what you need to do, right?
we have to be in action mode. We can't be complacent.
No.
And turn off the device. Look at podcasts, listen to the radio, read newspapers. A lot of this is fear mongering. I'm not making light of what's going on in the world today, but if you just are, saturated and drowning your brain and your thoughts in all of this repeated rhetoric that's being poured into you, you're going to lose brains.
Yeah.
And all we have right now is our mental capacity and one another.
Yeah.
That's all that we have. And mental health, between drugs and alcohol, domestic violence, there's
suicides.
Suicides, racial discord. It's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. So what we need to really kind of do is just dial back, take that quiet time every day.
Yeah.
To talk to yourself, to check in with your mindset, to pick up a good book, to retrain yourself, to educate yourself, to motivate yourself, to love on somebody else, to pay it forward. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree.
And a lot of stuff.
Because we've started recently to say to people, if you only read a chapter a day, it helps. Just read one chapter a day. Any book you want to read.
And it helps, avoid dementia. I tell you, my father is 80, 86, 87, sharp as a whip. Okay, he's a voracious reader. My mother, she's 91. She's not so much a reader, but she loves to do puzzles and things to stimulate your mind.
Yeah.
It's like an artery, a big artery. It gets clogged. Your brain is full of cholesterol. And you got to do something to clean it out.
Too many people are just what we call a couch potato. They're just slouching on the couch and watching television all day.
Right. And watching mindless stuff. So you are a tennis player. You and your daughters, are you able to get out?
Wow.
I know, because you're not a couch potato. I'm a tennis lover too. But I've been going past my tennis court, and I don't know why. It is a socially distant sport. They're playing that, and they're playing this thing called pickleball. Have you heard of pickleball?
No.
Oh, honey, that's the hottest thing going on now. It's like mini tennis or something. It's so cool. But that's what they're doing. So you like to play tennis with your girls, and what else do you do with your daughters?
Oh, we do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of fun stuff. Sometimes we just go out for drives in the country because where we live approximately 4 hours outside of London itself. Okay. And we're in what you call the Peak District, which is absolutely beautiful. It's awesome up here. Mm-hmm. So on a weekend, sometimes we go out for drives and stuff. But one of my daughters is at university, which is approximately 2 hours of drive away from where we live. And every so often she will drive and come up, and we go out, and we love having an odd meal out once a month and stuff. And we have other activities. We compete when it comes to reading books. Oh, wow. And I got my older daughter, when she started university, I got her into reading Think and Get Rich.
Oh, yes.
And from that, we launched Society of Queens. And the Society of Queens now has got 3 branches here in the UK. Oh, and it's at the universities for young women. So it's motivational, inspirational stuff. We work with the young women in helping them to see what they really would like to do outside of just the academics that they're studying. Okay. And it's beautiful because we've got young women that we have developed in their own small businesses, which is awesome, because you have young women now who are making, it's like one of them does sneakers, and she could buy a pair of sneakers, 100, 200 pounds, design it and resell it for 400, 500, 600 pounds. Wow. So having young women, and they do a lot of educational stuff also, because at one of the workshops they had, it was about your sexual health, etc. Because in many homes, We have mothers, and many mothers do not sit down and take their time to discuss certain things with their daughters, right? I have had a different upbringing. So my daughters, from a tender age, I taught them a lot. And so in turn, they were not bashful or shy to walk into a gum clinic and say, this is one of our cards, this is who we are, and we would like to ask you if we can have some condoms, if we can have some tampons, if we can have, you know, educational material, because we're going to host a workshop on this. And it was amazing, because then you find people from these organizations are so supportive. They will send a representative also, right? They will give out testing kits for maybe 50 or 100 people who may attend the one workshop or a subsequent workshop, right? So they do workshops on things that relate to young women. Also, they do workshops to get, for instance, if you are a poet, but you're shy, right? So they help to work with these young women in an environment where they know other girls. And we can hire maybe a club or so, and they get up on stage and they recite their poetry. They do spoken word and these things. So you get them to come out. So we've got these young women now doing collaborations with organizations, and they're being published, which is, for them, it's like, wow, look, my poetry's in a book, you know. So it, for me, it makes me glad as a mother to see young women doing this, because they're only in the 2022, and the older one has been doing this since she was like 18, you know. So for me, it makes me very proud to see that we have a younger extension of young women who are up and coming, motivating and supporting other young women, not just with academia, but also getting into the business world.
But see, this was instilled in you, much like me, at a very early age. You know, I was taught to get out there and do it. My mother was very, very progressive when it came to teaching me about my personal value, my worth, not just sexuality and sexual health, which that was a part of the ongoing conversation, but that I was valued and that I was important, and that was secondary. Because you're always going to find somebody that's going to want to get down. But are you really going to find somebody that's going to help you get up? You know? And so that's what is important. And so I commend you and your daughters for doing that. Me and my daughter are very philanthropic. She's a costume designer and makeup artist. And that's what she really pours her heart into, is creating these fantasies, but also within these fantasies, it helps people talk about their, you know, their suppressed feelings, their anxiety. They bring it out through their art. You have just been so inspiring and just a wealth of information. I'm so glad to have you here on The Edge. Please put that book up one more time. You can purchase it on Amazon too, right?
Yes, it is on Amazon.
Okay, and hold it steady. Okay. Brains, I was going to give you mine. I can't do it. I can't do it. But you can purchase it on Amazon. We want you to really, you know, look at prosperity on the shoestring.
Sorry?
No, I said I was looking at your, you know, your book. Pull it up again. The name of it. It's on the shoestring.
Yeah. And anyone who connects with me will be sent a copy at a discounted rate instead of the Amazon rate.
Wow. Brains, connect with her. There's a wealth of information on so many levels. You know,
and any ladies needing coaching, I'm happy to do. The first 6 people connect will get a half an hour free coaching session with me on business or structuring finances.
Wow, I would take advantage of that. Wherever you are in the world, you may be dealing in pounds, you might be dealing in euros, you might be dealing in dollars, you might be dealing in yen. But money is money. And so you need to know how to make it work for you. Tell them how to get in contact with you, wonderful.
You can visit the website at www.theoliviajoseph.com, or my Facebook page, the same as theoliviajoseph.com, or I'm also on Instagram at theoliviajoseph.com.
You hear that, Brains? She said she is the Olivia Joseph. Okay.
The one and only.
Right. That's queendom right there. That's having a conversation with you. Thank you so much for having a conversation. And here's to you, my sister.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye, Brains.
Bye. Thank you.